speaker for today is Reverend Lisa Argo. She first came to the Center of Enlightenment in February of 2015 with her friend John Pickle. He brought her today again. That day, Reverend Ken was speaking and said that he had planned another sermon, but was told to use the new one he had. To Reverend Lisa, it sounded like Reverend Ken was talking to her. This experience moved her to, I'm getting chills now. This experience moved her to continue to come and start taking classes to learn more about the church and her gifts. Soon, one of the ministers asked her if she was going to sign up for the ministerial program, and she stuttered a yes. Then she became more comfortable with her mediumship and expanded to spiritual healing and took Reiki classes with other congregants also. Reverend Lisa's been on the board of directors for many years as secretary for 2 terms, public relations for 3 terms, and she was ordained in 2022 and now teaches classes and enjoys our COE community that she serves. She's also my mentor in the COE ministerial program. Thank you, Reverend Lisa. And I'm honored to have her here today as my first speaker. So would you please welcome Reverend Lisa Argo.
Thank you, Joanne. Isn't she doing a good job?
Yes.
Well, thank you all for being here today. And thank you, Joanne. A couple of weeks ago, as Joanne had mentioned, we were talking about children and both mentioned the writings of Kahlil Gibran. I knew that I would have my sermon on children. I just wasn't clear on what it would focus on. Then, in one of my classes this semester, we had a discussion on our personality ego, our individual self, and developing our spiritual character. That was a lot. And what has that got to do with children? I'll get to that. As some of you know, I have started taking classes at the Spiritual Arts Institute in California. I have graduated from the 7 arts program, and now they call me a metaphysician. Not sure about that title yet, but we'll see. Now I am going on to the Direct Divine Light healing program they have that Patty does, and she's phenomenal. And someday I may get close to her. So let's touch on what brought me to the subject of children today. First, the individuality ego. Barbara Y. Martin and Dimitri Moritis write that the individual ego is your true self, the immortal identity as an eternal soul. It's way up there. It is the spiritual identity that persists regardless of the personality veil we wear. Through all our incarnations, it's still there. Whatever we do, it's still there. Barbara and Dimitri, or actually the higher ones, described the personality ego as an acquired persona of your incarnated life, where you may have dozens of incarnations, that individual ego still stays the same, still connected to God, but your personality changes. It's the mask we wear. As the writings we ascribe to Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and the men and women merely players. They have their exits and entrances, as we all do. Our name, our physical attributes, what I look like, habits, are all part of our personality. These traits are acquired in this life. And you know why? So we can learn our lessons, so we can pay up our karmic debt. Isn't that fun? Really. And here's where I'm headed. Let's put our individuality ego to work. I have been a nanny on and off for most of my life. At one point during these classes, I was terrified. We were talking about our spiritual potential and our spiritual purpose. And I thought, I've just meandered through life, and have I really fulfilled my purpose? I'm retired from working, and I obsessed over this, terrified that I had not fulfilled my potential and my purpose. I'm still working on my potential, but one day in meditation, they said, Lisa, it's not your working and your writing. It's your children. They are your purpose. And you are fulfilling that. And I said, oh, thank God. So these are some of the kids that I've worked with. I lived with and watched over my cousins, Becky and Laura, for years. I lived with and watched over Erica and Brian. They taught me so much about love. And Brian did my tattoo, and it has initials of the kids I nannied. I lived with and watched over Kara, Jennifer, and Josh. I nannied for Michael and Edie. I watched over Elliot and Leilani. I nannied for Nick and Maddie. I loved and watched over Jesse and Sammy. I love and watch over Calvin and Nolan. And I lived with and counseled Chelsea. There were a few others. Comes to about 20. And you all have children that have been in your life. Your children. Some of you may have grandchildren, nieces, nephews. You'd do anything for them. I would do anything for these children. Yeah, my husband and I are kind of in a quandary with our will. Erica and Brian are my children, just as Chelsea is his. And I want them to have something just as he wants Chelsea to. He doesn't quite get that, but that's okay. But he knows I would do anything for Chelsea just as I would do anything for any of my kids. And they're my kids. They're of my heart. And if God brings me another one, I'll add them to the list and say thank you. One of the ways to start looking at our personalities is to look at our attachments. That was new this week. Jesus Christ said, "For where your treasures is, there will your heart be also." Our personality ego attachment is us binding our consciousness to something of the physical world, real or imaginary. Are we binding our children to us? My mother told me she would never cut the apron strings. That means I was attached to her for most of my entire life. It took me and my individual self a long time to understand that I really wasn't bound to her. I wasn't enmeshed. I was my own individual self. When we bind ourselves to the objects of our desires, we are directing our consciousness and our spiritual energy in that direction. It's binding. It keeps us in chains. And that's our personality ego. There are a couple of ways that we attach to ours. One is a tie-in. That is when two personalities tie into each other and are dependent on everything from each other. Parents do this. You will be a doctor. I was a doctor. You're a doctor. It keeps the relationship in the personality ego. The other is a hook-in. I'm going to hook you into my emotional and personality dramas. I feel your issues. I am entwined in your issues. Parents hook their children into their dramas and belief. What we want. What do we want, really? What do children really need? They don't need any attachments. What's the opposite of attachments, you ask? The individuality ego and bonds, healthy bonds. An attachment is the personality ego to personality ego. A bond is an individual ego to individual ego. The core of the individuality ego is the God spark of eternal life. Instead of the personality ego and conditional love, which was my mom, not anymore. Now we have a really good relationship since she's crossed over. There is the divine unconditional love of the identity ego. All those children I watched over in Natty, we have a connection with the higher individuality ego. I have a bond with all of them. In fact, Erica and Brian, when I told them I was finally getting married, they were 30, 28. And they said, well, we're still going to be your ring bearer and flower girl, right? And let me tell you, they were. Brian was 6'4", and he carried this little pillow. And Erica was 6 foot in heels, and she's throwing flowers. It was awesome. I have a bond with them that I will never have to cut. They are all gifts from God. They teach me another level of love. And when you first pick up that child, there's nothing like it, is there? I grew up with negativity, abuse, verbal, physical, sexual, and anger like you wouldn't believe. I was hooked in, tied up, bound, and meshed. But when my friend Lori put Brian in my arms, and he looked up at me with such love, right from God, and Nicole put Edie in my arms, I wept with love and gratitude. Each life that has come to me has been special. But I know I have it easier. And Kahlil Gibran said, than a parent does. Because a parent, they have a little bit extra harder work to make sure that that child comes out and is a productive human being. But I'm their caretaker. I'm not hard on them. I'm not soft on them. I'm here for them their entire lives, and they know it. My love for them is unconditional. Whatever their journey is, I will support it and do whatever is needed to help them achieve all that they can do. How they can reach their individuality ego, whether they know it or are aware of it or not. I pray that I have given them some tools to navigate this earth world. The golden rule. Math. As much as I hate it, it's important. I'll help them no matter what. And loving one another as you would love yourself. And that service is what we're here for, above all else. And that I love them. That I should share this divine love that was given to me, and I share it with them to go out and share it with the world. I have no expectations of them other than to be themselves, to strive, to be brave, to dance, to sing, and to be who they are. And guess what? I have that for all of you. I share that divine love that is in me with you. I share my stories to help the children and you navigate your world, your earthly existence. I try not to have expectations, but be there for the best of you to reach your higher self and touch and learn about that individual ego. So thank you, and may all of your higher self and love be divine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa.